Robert Pattinson's Batman joining the DCU. This and other bat rumors and stuff. So there's multiple articles that's been going around on rumors and theories about what's afoot in all things Batman. And right off the bat, the Andy Muschietti Batman Brave and the Bold movie has been postponed. And, oh, boy, there's no script yet and all this sort of stuff. Meanwhile, then, the Batman Part 2, certainly coming off of a very successful Penguin spinoff series, which was supposed to start shooting in 2025, has now been delayed, no longer to be released in 2026. It'll be now to be released sometime in 2027. So that's, that's not rumor, that's news. That's what they've said. And say, oh boy, the script just isn't there yet. I theorize that perhaps after, gauging by the reaction to the Penguin series, that perhaps they want to change up the story to, emphasize the Penguin's presence in the movie. If he's not the main villain, he'll become more of a bigger villain in it and that sort of thing. Or maybe they'll just scrap whatever they were planning to do and make him the main villain and that sort of, and they could pursue that. But of course, it's going to be quite a while away now, but all along, the idea of Pattinson being the main Batman of this always it made a certain logical sense in that you have this new Batman. He just got off his first movie. And then there's this big shuffling of everything with the final DCEU movies. And then you had the Flash movie, which was supposed to be the explanation as to why things changed. There's really no connection to it anymore. I don't see, but it's too bad that there couldn't be, but they shuffled that movie around 3 different times. I mean, it was supposed to replace Batman and Superman with Batgirl and Supergirl. Then they, scrap that. Okay, we'll bring back Henry and Ben Affleck. So they shot scenes there. Certainly with Ben Affleck, there was supposed to be a scene with Cavill and Sasha Calle and all that sort of stuff. And that's where they were going to go. Scrap that. No, can't have that because we're not going with Henry Cavill and all that anymore. So all of that got scrapped. And, just put George Clooney in the end and we'll keep it as a joke. And that's the end of the movie. Had they just had Pattinson do the cameo instead of George Clooney, they'd probably be in a better position. However, the story is Matt Reeves was resistant to this idea of his Batman joining that. And there's a certain stylistic thing. I mean, the Batman, for what it is, it's grounded in a real world as much as you can get with a superhero comic book character. Very, very different from a world that has Superman and Green Lantern and stuff like that. Whereas the DCU, that's how it's going to be. So had it been a planned out thing, then you would just say, yeah, that's how that happened. Of course, that would depend on your Batman viewers having seen, the Flash movie and that sort of thing. That would explain why Batman 2 is very different and all kind of fantastical things are in it. There was suggestions and rumors that certain, like Clayface, there's going to be a Clayface movie, but they've already said that's a DCU movie. So multiple problems happened, but for a simpler transition or what have you, when you already have a Batman, you might as well stick with that one and figure that one out. But anyway, responses to this, when the delays came about, James Gunn was asked about it, and he said, yes, it's true. The only reason for the delay is there isn't a full script. Those of you who follow me here probably know that already. Matt is committed to making the best film he possibly can, and no one can accurately guess how long a script will take to write. Once there is a finished script, there is around 2 years for pre-production shooting and post-production on big films. So then someone followed up, said, yeah, but it's like it's going to be 5 years since Batman 2, you know? And he said, yeah, but that's not a big deal. To be fair, a 5 year gap is more is fairly common in sequels. 7 years between Alien and Aliens, 14 years between Incredibles, 7 years between the first two Terminators, 13 years between Avatars, 36 years between Top Gun. Of course. 6 years between Guardians Volume 2 and Volume 3. Yeah, that's not the same situation. There was a scandal that gave a lot of trouble for Gunn at the time, and he went and did Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, then came back to do Volume 3. And I imagine Volume 3 would have been very different had that not happened, and more than likely would have been sooner. These other movies, those weren't immediately announced or anything. It came, you know, why it comes much later than that. Whereas Batman was announced very quickly. And then, of course, you had the spinoff show with Penguin and all that. So it's not really the same comparison, but it is rather odd that this happens. My only caveat here is, again, the Penguin show might have changed things for them. And it also might, if the Penguin show had bombed, then this might have all been scrapped. I don't know. And maybe Pattinson would have been offered the role, but he'd be a different Batman than the one he played in Matt Reeves' version. So another theory was he signed on to do the Odyssey, which is Nolan's next film. And they thought, oh boy, he's going to be too busy and unavailable. Well, you know, you sit around. he's got work to do, you know. But Gunn says, no, that's not the reason. And so, okay. But anyway, so why the delay? So McCloyne here, you know, for Cosmic Book News posits some theories here. So the first is that it's claimed Gunn wants Robert Pattinson as his DCU Batman. I don't know if it was Snyder, not Zack Snyder, but Jeff Snyder, the scooper, who I think, I may be getting that wrong, or whoever said they've heard this. But it's a certain thing that kind of makes sense, that he would at least suggest it, and maybe Matt Reeves balked at it. I don't know. Anyway, of course, Andy Muschietti said his Brave and the Bold movie is also postponed, and now he's working on another film. So it could be possible the Batman Part 2 has been delayed to get the script in line with Gunn's DCU. So that's another thing. Maybe they have to shuffle it around to make it a movie that fits in with it. So Reeves is also producing the DCU Clayface movie. So he's already involved with the DCU. And you've got Clayface, which made an appearance in Creature Commandos. I'm assuming it's the same one. There's been multiple Clayfaces. So that could also be a possibility. But to have this standalone movie that is the villain that is in the DCU, it's not an Elseworlds thing. So, and then he's producing it. So it's like everything Batman is more, it's more his. I don't know if he was supposed to have been a producer for Brave and the Bold as well. But yeah, these are all possibilities, factors into why it now has to be delayed. Whatever they initially intended doesn't play anymore. So Warner Brothers getting sold. Well, this has always been the end game for as far as Zaslav goes, and it may be upon them at the moment. So the second reason, and it's not a good one, says McCloyne, this is the worst case scenario, is that my insiders have said CEO David Zaslav has been setting up WBD for sale, likely to Comcast Universal. There have been headlines in the trades recently where Zaslav has been happy that Trump has been elected, as apparently Zaslav thinks the Trump DOJ will approve the sale and a merger of WBD to whatever company it gets sold to. That sale could happen within the next couple of years. It's a likely outcome considering the situation that Warner Brothers is in. That's not entirely Zaslav's fault, if at all, because he came into a very damaged and ruined company. So finding a buyer to take that off his hands who can maybe make something of this more than he could is the obvious move for him. In the meantime, you've got these entities trying to make these movies, and where are they going to land? So then he says, so what happens to Gunn's DCU and Reeves' Batman if a new studio now owns the property? Obviously, it's hope they continue. Yeah, but if they come in and say, nah, never mind, they could scrap it all. But is Reeves pushing back his Batman movie in order to see what happens? I don't know, but I mean, I could understand that sort of thing. He says, look, we don't know where this is going to go. And then he gets into, and McCloyne hits on something that I think is also perhaps likely, is that there isn't a budget. And in looking at Gunn's Superman, especially that costume, is like, oh, there's not enough money to do the type of Batman movie he wants to do. You know? So he says, well, let me wait. If the company gets bought and there's another sugar daddy and they're interested, then maybe we can fund that one. So this too could be a possibility of, like, you know, why put, you know, the effort and sweat into something that may never come about. So Reeves might not want to sacrifice quality. If that is the case, expect another announcement where they won't be filming the Batman Part 2 next year. And eventually it won't be happening at all. So yeah, if there's another delay at that point, then perhaps not. But it's looking more likely the Brave and the Bold scenario isn't going to happen. I mean, maybe they'll get Pattinson to have the Damian Wayne Robin, and so you merge the two, that sort of thing. But it's looking more akin to that, because one of the problems was by the time you get Batman 2, you end up where you've got two Batman competing with one another, where you're canceling each other out, possibly. So, I said these delays, and it's like you're going to run into that. There's no way to avoid it. One solution is Pattinson's Batman, and that's it. You know? And of course, you can't have a DC shared universe and be successful without Batman. It's just, that's the way it is. Superman's the founder, but Batman became the big star of DC a long time ago, and that's the way it is. But man, the biggest problem is they don't have the money. That's what I think it is. Certainly is more of the, explanation for canceling all the original actors and that sort of thing, because, they would have been too expensive. That, probably goes more to it than anything else. And it's unfortunate, but, it's a business decision. It's the situation they're in. But on top of all that, maybe it'll work out, but man, looking at that trailer and it just right off the bat, that Superman outfit just looks terrible. And I just don't get it, I don't know, because it's not Cornsweat's fault. I think he could do it, he looks like Superman. But yeah, so that's more of the telltale signs. I don't know. So so there's a possibility that, there's a Superman movie, which is, will come out this year, or, 2025. And bombs, none of this matter. And that they shift back to doing Batman movies and all. Zaslav did mention there was a plan B on this. My guess is that's it. We'll concentrate on Batman. And I don't know, maybe they could build a DC universe out of Batman, but it's still, if Pattinson's Batman remains the way it was portrayed, I just don't really see a Superman existing in that world. But anyway, yes, things are afoot for Batman.